Welcome home. It's Irish Family History with curious news and notes, celebrating our fourth year of this podcast at the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day's a holiday and there's always room for one more. One of 6 broadcast series from the head school at irishroots.com. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host, publisher of rare Irish books and information on every county in Ireland since 1978. Be sure to read our blog, complete with links to click on from this podcast, and search our master index and books for free. Molly, wet the tea, Katie, bar the door, Sweeney, clear that floor, and bring out the Irish dancers. It's time we get this show on the road. Well, it is show number 169. We've got a lot coming up for you today. Among today's topics here at the Irish Roots Cafe at irishroots.com, the family of the day is O'Conor of County Kerry, and the county of the month, by the way, will be County Kerry as well, a fine county. That's where my mother's people came from. Number 3, searching for Brennan O'Dowd and Crowley. Number 4, 100-year-old O'Brien wins something. I wonder what that was. Number 5, Google Irish street views. That sounds interesting. What could we find there? Number 6, 30 years of Shea family research. Ooh, 30 years. I wonder what they found out. And number 7, what is sean-nós? That's our 1-minute podcast for today, and it's coming up right away. Well, first let's cover some of those what's happening at the Irish Roots Cafe today. Boy, I got up early, came in, had to open the place up, and it sure gives me a nice long day, but boy, it's hard to stay awake. You get towards the middle of the day. But hey, for about 30 years now, I've been receiving notes from Sandy Shea or Raleigh Shea, and on surname research and on the name Shea, S-E-A-Y, which is really part of the whole problem or the solution, the way that name's spelled. And you can see the obvious considerations. A name like S-E-A-Y could come from, say, Shea or Shea of Somerset in England, that you can find in some of those real old records. And that's to say nothing of she and Shea and she and saw-y and all the different spellings. I've got the spellings on the blog. You can look at it there. But the final key to their research after 30 years of doing everything possible, according to Sandy, is the fact that Ty O'Shea or Teague O'Shea is given in the 1669 Antrim Hearth money rolls, and as it's a rare spelling, it's a direct tie, most likely, to his family, and of course that O before the name would denote old Irish origins. Anyone with ties to this surname would be wise to take note of the considerable research done on this family all across the world, and I took a quick look. I usually find it in County Down or Antrim and around there, so that's interesting. Oh, and hey, remember, we've got 100 podcast shows that aren't on iTunes. They're only available on our webpage for members, so remember that, too. Don't want you to miss out on anything. Well, here we've got the 1-minute podcast today coming right up. And what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about what is sean-nós. There's sean-nós dancing and sean-nós singing, and when was it invented, and how did it come about, and what's it sound like? Got a few notes for you here today from our podcast last week on the Irish Song and Recitation Festival show. Don't want you to miss it, but here's a little sample before I started singing. The big question is, I tell you what, I've only learned about sean-nós for, what, a year? I've been trying to figure out what it is. And the best way to know what sean-nós is to listen to a sean-nós singer, an experienced veteran singer that everybody recognizes. And you'll say, oh, that's it. I know it when I hear it. And there's not just one form of sean-nós, There's the different provinces or areas of Ireland have different forms. And what it really is the way the old folks sung, the way the Irish sung before they were shall we say, the old Irish culture was obliterated, so to speak. But that has come down to us with at least a few songs. We've got real old ones, and then we've got people doing modern ones, and we've got people really getting fancy with it today too. But it's all in good spirits. And originally, that sean-nós was sung solo most often, and it also was in the Irish language. So that's where it all starts. That's the purer form of the art. And we look at it today, and usually it's connected to the Irish culture. It tells a story. It seems like there's different songs chosen by the men singers and the women singers these days. And, of course, there's a different format that goes to them usually, too. At least that's what I hear. But the term sean-nós was first used in the 20th century to describe the old Irish way of singing. And that's just a sample there. And I go on to make my singing debut of a whole song, and that was on How Ni Brignola. How Ni Brignola. Oh, what a song that was. But be sure to listen to the Irish Song and Recitation podcast. We got a lot more coming up. The season's just beginning on that one. Now it's back to the book of the month. Well, in keeping with our theme this week, we're sticking with the O'Connor's Kerry, and the book's going to be 2 books on County Kerry. One of them's Families of County Kerry, Ireland. Got a link on the blog, and I also have an extract. And the other one is County Kerry, Ireland, Genealogy and Family History Notes. Have a link on the blog to that one, too. I wrote them both, a couple of years apart, and they both contain different information. Now, let's take a look at the first one. What did I say in there? Well, I talked about the 18th century and how it brought on really harsh times in Kerry, especially in the first half of the century, because, we were wrapping up those terrible 1600s, and the Gaelic power was broken, and the English feudal system was disappearing too. County Kerry was now in the hands of English settlers who remained loyal to England and were Protestant in religion. Now, you can find the accounts of the Pennell days and how hard they were there, and why the old Irish were really sort of forced to join that Protestant religion, if at all possible, to hold a property or a job or to ride a horse. And I tell you, you're going to find many Catholic landholders like Falvey, O'Mahony of Dromore, McGillicuddy. You're going to find them switching over to the Protestant religion in the 18th century, and that gives you a little idea why. And sometimes that was necessary to help save the rest of the family. Now, remnants of the Gaelic family rulers of early days remained. You still had the McCarthy Moor at Pallas and Killarney and up till 1770, and the O'Sullivan Bear at Erie's, and the O'Sullivan Moor at Toomey's, and the O'Donohues at Glenflesk. And, of course, you also have to remember old Donald O'Mahony of Dromore, who held some sway against the absentee landlords in County Kerry, which is a way of saying the folks who really weren't from Kerry. The 19th century also brought mass immigration to America from Ireland and Kerry. The famine struck there just like everywhere else, and you could hear the cries of hungry children and deaths in the field and the glen and in the street. But from that misery, many a new life was born into a better life abroad. And some of us are evidence of that. And it's for descendants of those bold families of County Kerry that I left these notes for County Kerry families just a few years ago in this book. And I also give a little outline of what the picture of Irish families looked like around the year 1200. The English started claiming lands. I don't think the Irish would have recognized that. They probably didn't believe what was happening was really going to happen, but boy, it sure did. Read more about it in the book. Oh, coming up, the Irish World Academy of Music and Dance. Now, where's that out, do you think? I got more on that in just a little bit. Now it's time to raise our eyes skyward, give thanks, and ask for help. Here are today's Magnificent 7. Number 1, Paul Mullen of Westchester, PA. Welcome as a new member, and he's looking for his wife, family, Brennan of Maecenas, Creslow, Donegal, and the O'Dowds of Sligo Number 2, welcome new member Carol Poling Dole of Roebuck, South Carolina, looking for information on Patrick Crowley, born 1813 in Ireland, married an Asenath Hodges in 1851 in Bath County, Virginia. Number 3, Eleanor Romaine Reed McPherson of Neutral Bay, New South Wales, Australia. Your County Monaghan, Ireland genealogy book has shipped. Number 4, Maria Crowley of Derry City, Derry, UK. Your Donegal and Clare genealogy books have shipped. Number 5, Raleigh F. O'Shea Jr. of Orlando, Florida. Your County Antrim and Belfast genealogy books have shipped, and the County Families of County Donegal book has shipped. Number 6, Penelope Chung of County Clare, Ireland. Your bonus items have shipped, and thanks for the songs on the Irish Song and Recitation podcast. That's all we got time for today. I've only got 6 in my hand here, and the other one's over in the basket. But hey, I want to say thanks to all our members, because without you, there'd be no podcast, there'd be no books, there'd be no song and recitation, there'd be no cultural podcast. That we put out 7 in all. You're responsible for it. No one else here to help but you, so I truly do appreciate it. It's time we moved on now to what is it? Oh, that's right. It's the family name of the day. Well, we picked O'Connor of County Kerry. You know, I've done a podcast that had O'Connor in it before, but not specifically just O'Connor, County Kerry, so we'll sort of focus on them today. And that's in honor of member Mary Louise Mason of Staffordshire, England, looking for the O'Connors of Kerry, Mason and Pierce as well. You got some related spellings of the name. You know, you can drop or add the O. The OR at the end of the name could become ER. The double N in Connor can be a single N in Connor, especially in the old days. And you're going to find a lot more variant spellings in the Guide to the Various Spellings of Irish Family Names. That's on, I got a link to that on a blog. Now, if we take a little look at the history of the name O'Connor and Kerry, here's a few notes from my books. It was a very numerous in County Kerry, with 1,371 families given by King, and the real old Kerry O'Connors, they're given to be of the clan Conor and came from the south of Munster, and they had been expelled in ancient times. You know how those warring days were. And Jeremiah King said that the O'Connors of Connaught, Sligo, and Corcombe Row were branches of the very same family that split up way back when. Now, you can also find 10 branches of the family in County Kerry cited. You're going to see their lands were confiscated in 1653, and we've got them listed on the blog. And you're going to find also that the Elizabethan and Cromwellian wars led to the loss of most of the family lands, just like everybody else that was Irish. And the O'Connor Kerry resided at the Carrigafoyle Castle, which was their chief stronghold. Got more information about that in the Families of County Kerry, Ireland, but I wanted to touch base with it. And we've also, you know, if you take a look at coats of arms, I remember in the Irish Book of Arms when I was doing it, I was looking for who had the most mentions or the most coat of arms for a particular name. And O'Connor was right up there. I think there's just 2, 3, 4 at the most that had as many mentions or as many illustrations of coats of arms, different coats of arms. They were just really an outstanding family as far as that goes. Now we'll take a look at that, and we see that in the Book of Arms and also in most armorial books, you're going to find several O'Connor coats of arms listed, and you're going to see that the old oak tree is the most common symbol on the arms in general. And among the those with the name with arms are given O'Connor of Rathmew, of Stonebrook, of Mount Pleasant, and of Rockfield, all in various counties. And the Irish Book of Arms features both color and black and white arms at different dates and times as I found them before and after the coming of the Free State. So those O'Connor, they're a good one, you know. They're all over the place, and this just specifies the O'Connors in County Kerry. Coming up, we're going to tell you where to find the world's first Irish-speaking teddy bear and what award he just won. But now we're going to just do our last little touch-up on O'Connor. The free master index online at irishroots.com shows listings for the name 246 times, which tells you why it's one of the top 10 names in Ireland. Here's a few examples of what we pulled off there. Of course, it's in County Kerry Genealogy and Family History Notes. And in the Families of County Kerry, here's just a few listings. We had a listing for Francis Conor, Gerard O'Connor, O'Connor Households, J. O'Connor, O'Connor, the Kings of Connaught, and it just goes on and on. Number 3 in Milesian Families of Ireland, that's the real old Families of Ireland, you're going to find O'Connor Rowe mentioned, and you're also going to find O'Connor Kerry in the history of the Clanna-Rory families in Ireland. And number 5, you're going to find numerous listing in the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters, and you're going to find it in most of the counties, and especially in the County Clare Genealogy and Family History Notes, as well as Kerry. And you're also going to see several individuals of the name in the Fall of Irish Chiefs and Clans up there in Ulster, so they're all over the place, folks. Now it's time for... Around the World in Irish Ways, the webpage and video of the month. Hey, number 1, we feature Irish tradition, Kerry polkas. You got a link to the blog on that. Take you right there. You hear some of that more traditional Irish music. And number 2, the Ring of Kerry video. It's pretty good. It's got a little music to it, and it's got some shots, and it's not too long, so it'll give you a quick reminder of County Kerry, or even just of Ireland, you know. The Ladies' View, Torque Waterfall, Carrickaveen, Waterville, Derrynane. It brings me back. And number 3, the O'Connor family reunion in Montana. Now, it includes a fiddle and a flute and some of the young ones getting ready to practice on it there. That was good to see. You could have thought you was back in Ireland. And, of course, the landscape is beautiful and plenty green. Number 4, Google now has street views of 51,000 miles in Ireland. That means they went through there with a little moving camera and took pictures of the streets and the roads and the castles and the houses. So you might be able to find that address in Ireland, or at least see what the town's like right away without taking that trip. You know what it really could do? It can prepare you for taking that trip. Now that prices are down a little bit, it might be a good time to go. And you could check out, where do you take the left-hand turn and what do you take a right-hand turn? If you rent a car, you'll know where you're going before you get there. And when you see it, you'll say, I know that, sure, it's my old family castle. All without ever being there. They'll think you've been there 100 times before. But maybe it's more fun not to be there 100 times before. That first trip is something special, so I hope you're considering it if you haven't gotten there yet. Whoa, now it's time for everybody's favorite Curious News and Notes. Well, what do we have here? April 1912 saw the sinking of the Titanic. They've made the movies about it, but now it's 100 years later coming up, and website highlights are going to be found on Belfast and their shipbuilding heritage, because that's where the ship was built. Came right out of Belfast there, and those are big times from an era past. Might be good to look at it. Number 2, Positive Aging Week runs until October 2nd, celebrating older people. The Garda aims to reduce fear of crime among elderly, says the Commissioner Fina Murphy. Well, that's interesting. That's a good thing to do. They want to make sure the older folks know they're safe on the streets, so that'll help everybody. Number 3, Irish World Academy of Music and Dance. Where's it at? Well, they've got 300 students from 25 nationalities at the Limerick University location. Got a link on the blog. Number 4, world's first Irish-speaking teddy bear is victorious. Let me see. Nicknamed BB, born of a Galway company, and they were awarded the gold standard by Preschool Awards. Oh, man, I think that was in the UK. Got an article on the blog. Number 5, a 100-year-old O'Brien is named Grandparent of the Year. and that's Andrew O'Brien, and he's the 100-year-old great-grandpa who achieved that award. Now, I wonder if you're an O'Brien, if you've got some of those same genes in your family. 100 years is pretty darn good. Number 6, 6 Irishmen, including Keane of Court MacSherry, were Antarctic explorers, and his sleeping bag was just sold for €2,000. I wonder what kind of shape that bag was in. They've got a picture on my link in the blog. You can see what it looked like. And I didn't know 6 Irishmen went there on that famous expedition. But that was very interesting to hear about. Well, that's bringing it up to the end now. Remember, we've got 7 different podcast feeds. I try to keep them all going. Some of them I just update a little bit. And right now I'm working on that Irish song and recitation for the old style Irish song. So I might alternate weeks here for a little bit till I get some of the mixing done. You know, I have to learn how to be a little bit of everything. It's sort of funny. And remember, last week's podcast, I think it's number 2 on the webpage, but it was the first song day, and it was Sony Brunulai sing the whole song, and you might want to hear it. It started out like, Ni ein despre le Sony Brunula baileniske escadelo aro enini ora ho ni Brunula Corlia don't worry nail malom as master bad or go Johnny Lackham. Well, it was something like that. I just wanted to give you a flavor of it. So listen to it if you have a mind to, and we've got some nice, better singers coming up after me in the next week, so that's just a tip for you. That's all for today, folks. Joseph, warm up those pipes. Remember, we have a broadcast series on Irish song and recitation, on local history of the Irish in America, and on 2,000 years of Irish history, as well as on the counties, and something special coming up on Irish language, I hope. We've got all that and more at our head school at irishroots.com. And you know, we've been known to appear, exhibit, teach, and even sing for your special events. Be sure to book in advance if it's important. And write me at my American address at Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri, 64116. Leave a message by phone at 816-256-3360. Reach me on my webpage at irishroots.com. Skype me at the Irish Roots Cafe. Get me on MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, and Irish Central. Members foot the bill so they get first priority, but we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away.